The Federal League is here, and so is a teenager by the name of Babe Ruth. Welcome to the 1914 season in Baseball Dreamland, where our new London Whalers charge into Season 12 and Out of the Park Baseball 26. The Chicago Cubs didn't just reclaim the National League in 1913, they steamrolled it and then completed another double by knocking off the Brooklyn Superbas in the Roosevelt Cup. The Tacoma Tigers secured a third straight PCL title, Almendares repeated in Cuba, and across the pyramid the champions held firm and refused to fall. Our elevator jammed again in 1913 and left us stuck in Class A. We finished 5th with 72 wins, scoring nearly 200 fewer runs than the year before, even as the pitching and defense allowed the fewest runs in the league. The Roosevelt Cup gave us a brief sugar high, back-to-back walk-offs to sneak past the Class D Mobile Seagulls, and a 3-game loss to the soon-to-be Class A Syracuse Stars. But in a season where promotions fell like confetti for everyone else, the Whalers got mostly a reminder of how far we still are from the real contenders. 36-year-old Pop Rising has announced his retirement after 12 proud seasons as captain of the new London Whalers. He joined the club back in 1902 and leaves as the final surviving member of the roster we inherited in 1903. Pop steps away ranked 8th in franchise history with 15 career batter WAR, plus another 4.7 on the mound, because he never believed in doing just one job. Drop your best retirement wishes for Pop Rising in the comments. With his departure, Bill Shipke becomes the longest tenure Whaler on the roster. Challenge number 1 is still up for grabs, and no minor league club has cracked the National League yet. But challenge number 2 is gone for good after the Trojans stole the Cup in 1912, leaving us with a humbler mission, the Roosevelt Cup Side Quest, a trophy we'd love to steal someday just to prove we can. Meanwhile, the real climb continues. With the Federal League joining the American League upstairs next season, the path to the second tier finally splits, widens, and if we play this right, might actually open for clubs like ours. First step, get out of Class A before the whole pyramid reshuffles again. The pyramid swells to 322 clubs across 43 leagues, and the Federal League folds into the second tier alongside the American League. Each promotes a champion, so the National League counters by relegating 2 clubs a season. Class A sends up 6 clubs, 4 champions, plus 2 from a second-place round robin. Classes B and C keep last year's format, and Class D expands to 10 leagues with 1 champion apiece and a pair of second-place round-robin survivors. This is the last season of Promotion Stampede. If we miss it now, the pack ahead of us only gets thicker. The top of the pyramid finally settles into its new shape, creating a true launching pad for every ambitious former minor league club with eyes on the National League. With the flood of new promotions, the upper tiers look greener than ever, stuffed with fresh climbers plus a few exiles making long overdue returns. The ripple effects scatter half of classes B and C into new leagues like someone hit randomized divisions at midnight. Branding changes hit hard this year. Brooklyn, having already lived as the Dodgers and the Superbas, now pops back as the Robins. The club tries on identities like hats. Fargo-Moorhead proudly plants its flag as the Grain Growers, baseball's first team named after a crop report, finally giving sabermetric farmers the representation they deserve. Classes D and E now house 174 clubs, and the 7th tier is practically bursting. Only 18 more teams can squeeze in before Class F becomes a grim inevitability. The Tower of Baseball Jenga just keeps getting taller. Class E floods with newcomers in 1914, including a handful of clubs loudly insisting they belong in the Federal League. That's adorable. In this pyramid, everyone starts at the bottom. Port Arthur debuts as the Canucks, bringing more northern flavor. Lewiston shows up as the Cupids, unbeaten in romance but historically shaky in April. And Wellsville introduces the Rainmakers, built to summon weather delays whenever things get dicey. A few rebrands shake up the lower rungs. Olean dusts off the Refiners, a name that sounds more like an oil lobby than a ball club. Warren becomes the Bingos, making every away series feel like a bus trip to the rec center, and Vincennes resurrects the Alices. Meanwhile, out west and in Cuba, everything looks normal? Too normal. Promotions, relegations, and Sacramento rebranding as the Wolves are the only real jolts to systems that are starting to feel suspiciously stable. Somebody poke the league office and make sure nobody fell asleep at their desk. Our league is a lineup of familiar faces. The Providence Grays and the Philadelphia Giants are gone, and we'll see the Lowell Grays for the first time since 1908. And unfortunately, the New Bedford Imposter Whalers have clawed their way back after last season's promotion, still parading around with a stolen name like no one's supposed to notice. At some point, they're going to need to pick an identity of their own, preferably one that isn't ours with the serial numbers filed off. Until then, we'll keep reminding them, there's only one Whalers franchise in this league, they're not it. Owner John Shea rewarded us with a 10% budget increase, pushing us into six-figure territory. Our payroll now doubles that of the Cuban Giants, the Lowell Grays, and most importantly, the New Bedford Imposter Whalers, who continue to cosplay as a real franchise on an allowance that wouldn't even cover our bullpen snack basket. We're even creeping up on the Philadelphia Phillies, which is wild when you remember they once lived in the National League. And to keep the good times rolling, Shea wants a winning record. Perfectly reasonable ask, assuming the draft lottery stops treating us like a punchline. The 1914 draft arrives with 1,186 players, but let's not kid ourselves. This class orbits one son, George Herman Ruth. 18 years old, throws lightning, swings like the baseball owes him money, a prospect capable of tilting challenge number 1 off its axis the second he signs. So the mind spirals. What if we get him? What if the Cubs get him? What if some other upstart contender jumps the line? In the darkest timeline, what if New Bedford gets him? It's the St. Louis Browns who win the race for Babe Ruth. Everything about him screams future torment. A fastball already fit for the second tier, command beyond his age, and bat power that should frankly be illegal. He isn't polished yet, which is terrifying because this is him unfinished. The Browns just rewrote their franchise in a single pick, and the rest of us now brace for impact. The board behind Ruth settles quickly. Nashville grabs Ross Youngs, Jacksonville jumps on George Kelly, and Class D Olean takes a big developmental swing on Hod Eller. Springfield drafts Frank Brower for reasons known only to Springfield. Charleston adds Jack Tobin. The Washington Senators close the top 7 with Joe Judge. And now the part that matters. The new London Whalers hold the 10th pick, our best draft real estate since 1907 when we landed Hank Gowdy. It's our second chance at a franchise changer. 4 options, 1 obvious answer. Dick Whitworth, 18 years old, 5-star ceiling, and the only pitcher in the class whose scouting report basically says, just keep him away from traffic and moonshine. Hank DeBerry, as an excellent catcher, terrible fit behind Hank Gowdy. Ben Tincup, a two-way chaos gremlin we'd love in another universe. Greasy Neal, the athletic wild card with a name you'd want to draft for the merch alone. All interesting, but only Whitworth changes a franchise's gravitational pull. So with the 10th pick, the new London Whalers select Dick Whitworth. Elite stuff, nasty movement, real command, durable frame, the kind of arm you build a window around. No frills, no doubts, just a future rotation anchor walking through our door. We've waited years for a pick this good. Now it's on us not to waste it. Our International League rivals drafted with all the imagination of a damp envelope. Joe Eschker, Dixie Leverett, William Wright, Ed Holloway, ballplayer Fellingren, not a single name that raises my blood pressure, which frankly makes this draft feel even better. The one exception though, a round of applause for the Cuban Giants snagging Pickles Dillheffer at 129. Not because he's destined for stardom, but because he has objectively one of the greatest names this sport will ever produce. With pick 126, we added 18-year-old second baseman Jimmy Smith. Big power, a solid enough bat, and defense that slots neatly on the right side of the infield. No idea how the rest of the league let him sit there long enough for us to scoop him up, but their loss is our roster crunch. Miller Huggins and Joe Williams already occupy this lane, so somebody shifts positions, or Smith opens on the reserve list, and we hope he avoids lapses in judgment. We extended the entire coaching staff, a well-earned reward for dragging this roster beyond its talent level once again. Cohesion is sky high, the room is calm, and this might quietly be the sharpest staff anywhere in the pyramid. We did, however, make one notable change. 46-year-old Chance Hollis steps in as our new team trailer, replacing Connor Baiato after 5 steady seasons. The grades are close, but Hollis brings one critical edge. He's far better at preventing arm injuries. After Jesse Runser's shoulder blowout, and with Dick Whitworth's right arm now holding the hopes of New London, we decided to take a chance where it mattered most. But 2 weeks into the offseason, disaster strikes. Jesse Runser re-tears his labrum and is out for a second straight season. Exactly the type of nightmare we thought we had avoided by changing trainers. The rotation can take the blow, Whitworth softens it considerably, but the bullpen was already stretched thin enough to be mistaken for modern art. We're still stuck with the creeping sense that our relief corps is one frayed thread from snapping. Just 4 months after becoming our longest tenured Whaler, Bill Shipke is headed to the Milwaukee Brewers of the American League. He wasn't just a decade-long fixture, he was our first ever draft pick, taken 259th before the 1904 season, and he immediately validated it by leading the club with 5 WAR and helping power our very first promotion. He held down second base until Joe Williams arrived in 1909, then reinvented himself as a steady utility presence. Shipke leaves New London with 14 career WAR, 9th most in franchise history. Drop your thanks for one of the Whalers' first difference makers. First in the door is 33-year-old Thomas Smith, a swingman who can either soak up innings in the rotation or slam the door in the 9th. He's not flashy, but with our staff held together by duct tape and wishful thinking, he's exactly the kind of depth we need. Smith logged 5 seasons with the Brewers and banked 9 WAR, so the talent's real, even if the personality file reads like a list of red flags and his morale currently lives somewhere below sea level. With any luck, the clubhouse can fix what Milwaukee apparently broke. Our second pickup is 24-year-old Cliff Yockey, who comes across as a younger, speedier version of Bill Shipke. He's only made 5 career plate appearances, but the tools are interesting enough to stash. If he develops, he could be a solid reserve infielder and a dangerous pinch runner. For now, he's a lottery ticket. No expectations, all upside, and absolutely no pressure to be anything more than a pleasant surprise. Chappie Snodgrass keeps the room stitched together, maintaining strong ties with the key players while 2 captains steady the vibe. No agitators, no fires to put out, just a clubhouse that genuinely likes showing up. Tactically, we're running back last year's blueprint, hoping that with better health, a real bullpen, and an 18-year-old ace in waiting, the same plan finally yields a different ending. Both Boston clubs return loaded and dangerous. The Braves return Johnny Bates after an 8-WAR detonation of a season, and Ben Hunt matched him pitch for pitch. Add Eddie Higgins and Bob Shockey, and that rotation looks like a Class A cheat code. If Irish Musial builds on his rookie year, it could run the table. Across town, the Red Sox counter with Roger Peckinpah's career-best 8-WAR, Dave Bancroft's breakout, and a rotation boosted by off-season addition Elvis Spangler alongside Elmer Emerson. Enough firepower to keep Boston streetcars hauling contenders in both directions. The Cuban Giants survived 1913 mostly because Duffy Lewis hauled them uphill with 6 WAR. They'll need Eddie Collins to bounce back, and with Danny McClellan traded, 23-year-old Sherry Smith suddenly fronts the entire rotation. Even former Whaler Harry Noyes is still hanging around. Jersey City, meanwhile, finished second again, looks even nastier. Mickey Doolin's 7 WAR pushes him to 103, second among all active position players. Jack Ness and Moose McCormick each added 6. Byron Hawk and Eddie Stack keep leveling up. If it continues, this is the team nobody wants to see in the promotion chase. The Lowell Grays reach Class A for the first time on the backs of Jack Graney, Barney McLaughlin, and 20-year-old Sparkplug Les Mann, all posting 6 WAR. Beyond that, the roster thins fast, especially at catcher, where depth is a theoretical concept. They're opening the season without a catcher. The New Bedford Imposter Whalers are back in Class A, where they absolutely do not belong. Jack Martin and Gene Krapp put up 5 WAR in Class B, but Krapp's surname remains an accurate scouting report for the rest of their roster. I fully expect these frauds to spend 6 months wrestling Lowell for the right to fall back down the ladder. Spring training didn't claim any limbs this time. Our scout did walk back the Whitworth is a demigod report, but he's still our ace, good enough to shove Thomas Smith and Stoney McGlynn into the bullpen. Rube Foster slots in at number 2, now lugging around 77 career pitcher WAR plus 20 as a hitter, an absurd 2-way resume. Jimmy Smith starts on the reserve list, so our lineup mirrors 1913. The Philadelphia Phillies stayed thoroughly mid last season, then traded away Harley Young, their only real anchor. Bugs Raymond, Bill Keister, Benny Meyer, and John Titus all creep another year toward the cliff, nudging this roster ever closer to relegation country. The Pyramids roar back to life, and New London enters this season with a new ace, boosted promotion odds, and pure optimism. Our odds will never be better, so let's get promoted before this window slams shut. We don't have to win the league, just finish high enough to sneak into the round robin and let chaos do the rest. Jersey City at home is an important opening day test. At long last, Dick Whitworth takes the mound, ready to turn reputation into reality. Down 1 in the 9th, Hank Perry slices a single to left. Gowdy reaches third safely, but Perry gets greedy, and Jersey City cuts him down at second to end it. Tough way to open 1914. Dick Whitworth was terrific in his debut. 8 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. But Jack Ness's RBI single in the 8th was enough to beat us. Byron Houck smothered the lineup with a 4-hit, 1-walk, complete game shutout. And outside of Hank Gowdy's 2 knocks, the bats never woke up. Last season's scoring woes aren't gone yet. It just showed up right on time. Around the league, Sherry Smith led the Cuban Giants to a 7-0 shutout of New Bedford, a result that warms my heart in ways a doctor would probably question. Les Mann stole the show for Lowell, first homering and later walking off the Phillies, instantly becoming the most popular man in town. And up in Boston, Ben Hunt carved up the Red Sox at Fenway, cruising to a 7-0 win that never felt remotely competitive. Opening day came with style points, just not for us. New Bedford's tying run reaches, so in comes Stoney McGlynn. Jack Martin rolls one to short, Lou Litchie flips to Joe Williams, and the imposters are finally put away. The win bumps us to 13-10, 3.5 games behind the Boston Braves, with the Red Sox and Jersey City lodged in between. The early promotion race starts to take shape. Lowell is already sinking fast at 7-17, but their chances of safety improve by trading for a catcher. Our catcher, Hank Gowdy, powered our lineup with an 805 OPS and 151 WRC+, while rookie Dick Whitworth debuted with a 1.57 ERA. Number 3 starter Lefty Webb added 36 strikeouts without surrendering a homer. Lefty Webb is carving at Fenway when Charles Earl lifts a drive to deep center. Hank Perry races back, times the jump perfectly, and snatches it to preserve the shutout. We needed that one because a 12-16 May drops us below 500 and into 5th, 10.5 back of the Red Sox, 5.5 behind the Braves. It appears to resemble last season, but our plus 45 run differential matches the Boston club's, which makes the slide even more maddening. Lou Litchie rebounded with a 768 OPS and 2 homers. Lefty Webb posted a 1.96 ERA, but poor luck limited him to just 2 wins. The bullpen's steady, the foundations are strong, we just need the breaks to finally fall our way. 2 outs in the 12th when Ed Weinberg dribbles one to Miller Huggins. Instead of taking the sure out at first, he fires home late. Lowell walks us off. A rough finish, but a strong month. We go 16-11 and trim the gap to just 3 games behind the Braves and Giants for second. The Red Sox are sprinting away with the title, but the round-robin chase is still very much alive. Lowell's walk-off brings them within 3 games of New Bedford for safety, softening the blow a bit. Hank Gowdy and Billy Menges both topped an 800 OPS. Lefty Webb spun a 1.20 ERA with 5 wins, and Stoney McGlynn stayed blistering hot with a 0.46 ERA, taking Barenkamp's rotation spot. Meanwhile, a political assassination rocks Europe, but the Pyramids barely blink. Lefty O'Banion is off to the Nashville Volunteers after nearly a decade of Whalers history wrapped around that left arm. We drafted him 115th overall back in 1905, rode him through 5 seasons in the rotation and 2 promotions, then handed him the 9th inning in 1910, a role he turned into 65 saves and countless unclenching moments. He leaves New London with 15 career WAR, 5th among pitchers in franchise history. Drop your thanks for a Whaler who helped drag this club up the ladder. Arriving in New London is 28-year-old Jack Lieber, a capable but famously combustible third baseman who will stay tucked on the reserve roster as insurance. Pitching depth isn't our problem, surviving an injury to the left side of the infield is. Lieber posted 1.4 WAR as a rookie with Nashville last season before losing his job heading into 1914, and he'll try to reset his career here, preferably without trying to force his way into the lineup. Carl Sturzer steps into Lefty O'Banion's old roster spot, immediately gifts Bill Keister a meatball. It's hammered for an RBI triple and the Phillies cruise 7-1. July ends without the surge we needed. We're still 2.5 games behind the Boston Braves for second, with the Cuban Giants and Jersey City clogging the path. The Red Sox are coasting to promotion while Lowell sits 3.5 behind New Bedford for safety. Hank Gowdy posted a 789 OPS before back spasms hit. Cozy Dolan missed most of the month, and the offense stalled again. The bright spot? Jesse Runzer's ahead of schedule, and the rotation was absurd. Whitworth posted a 1.56 ERA, and everyone else was under 2. But none of it matters unless the bats wake up, and soon. And if they don't, our window closes. Thomas Miller steps in with our automatic promotion hopes hanging by a thread. He rolls one to third, the Red Sox flip to second, and the door slams shut on August 31st. The Boston Red Sox lock up promotion with a week to spare, but everything else breaks our way. An 11-game winning streak powers a 20-8 month, vaulting us into second place by 2 games after blowing past the Skeeters, Braves, and Giants. The Braves lurk 3.5 back, and Lowell is now just a 1.5 games behind New Bedford in a budding relegation brawl. Cozy Dolan returned with a 750 OPS and 137 WRC+, and 42-year-old Stoney McGlynn turned into a cheat code, 7 wins and a 1.04 ERA. Rube Foster posted a 1.89 ERA, but is completely gassed. He won't pitch again during the regular season. 5 games left, starting with 2 more at Fenway Park. The defense unravels behind Dick Whitworth with 3 second-inning errors, handing Boston 3 runs. The Red Sox take full advantage and beat us 4-2. It feels like our 1912 collapse all over again. The stumble in Boston opens the door, and the Giants and Braves happily walk through it. With 3 games left, everything's on the table. We still hold second and get the 6th-place Phillies to finish. The Giants sit 1 back with a tougher draw against the 5th-place Skeeters, while the Braves lurk 2 back and feast on last-place Lowell. Hank Perry represents the winning run to clinch promotion. He slaps the pitch the other way in the hole, but it's flagged at third base. Whalers leave the door open. The Giants and Braves both split their games, eliminating the Braves. New Bedford choked away its cushion in true imposter fashion, dragging the relegation fight into pure mayhem. So here we are. Both the promotion round robin and the drop to Class B will be decided on the final day of the season. Lowell and New Bedford enter deadlocked at 52 and 87, clinging to the Class B ledge, and we get another chance to punch a ticket to the round robin. These games could decide it all, or maybe a tiebreaker, or 2 could also be in store. Last chance in the 9th for Lowell, but Ben Hunt puts it away by fanning Robert Call. The Imposters can clinch safety with a win now. Tied in the 9th with Gene Krapp on the mound, George Clark delivers a pinch hit single to walk off New Bedford, sending the Imposters into a 1-game tiebreaker. Lowell's catcher lets the Slim Harrell delivery pass, bailing out the Imposters. The Cuban Giants are down in the 9th. Chris Mahoney misses and is thrown out on a dropped third. Jersey City comes through for us when it matters most.
And there was much rejoicing.
8 seasons after their fall from the American League, Roger Peckinpah finally drags the Boston Red Sox back into the second tier, his 10.4 WAR at shortstop basically hauling the franchise there by himself. Our New London Whalers finish second with 79 wins and book a trip to the promotion round robin. Ben Hunt tops the International League in pitcher WAR for the 2nd straight year, but even that can't rescue the Boston Braves from missing the round robin. And the Lowell Grays, their catcher situation torpedoes an entire season. 89 losses, 1 and done, and a rapid return ticket to Class B. We ranked 5th in the International League with 537 runs scored, but our pitching and defense strangled opposing lineups all year. A league-low 423 runs allowed, a sparkling 2.15 ERA, just a 6.8% walk rate, a microscopic 0.1% home run rate, and an 87 FIP-, all the best marks in the league. The gloves backed it up too. Our defense graded out a lead again, turning good pitching into great pitching. The end result? A plus 114 run differential, tops in the International League and fully worthy of a promotion push. Hank Gowdy and Hank Perry powered the offense with 5 WAR each. Perry led the regulars in almost everything that mattered: 143 hits, 16 triples, 68 RBI, 209 total bases, and 39 steals. A one-man chaos machine with stat lines to justify it. Lou Litchi piles up a defense-driven 4.7 WAR, Billy Menges set a new career high at 3.9, and Joe Williams and Miller Huggins added 3 apiece. Huggins also led the club with 79 runs and 119 walks, while somehow managing a truly catastrophic 33% stolen base success rate. Even Thomas Miller broke through with a career-best 2.3 WAR. On the mound, lefty Webb hit an entirely new level, posting a career-best 7.2 WAR. Dick Whitworth's debut season was everything we hoped for: 6.8 WAR, a team-leading 18 wins, 292 innings, and 135 strikeouts. A full workload right out of the gate. Rube Foster delivered another steady 4.3 WAR, and 42-year-old Stoney McGlynn somehow turned back the clock with a 1.22 ERA and 3.3 WAR in just 170 innings. Even William Barenkamp and the bullpen snapped into shape, transforming last year's weakness into something much closer to a strength. The relegation escape comes down to the final day in the National League. They relegate 2 this season, and 3 clubs enter with matching 64 and 75 records. Will it be the Philadelphia Athletics, New York Giants, or New York Yankees that save themselves? Charles Bender takes the ball for the Athletics but gives up a walk-off single to the Robins. Philadelphia blows a 2-run 9th inning lead and suddenly needs help to survive. Roy Allen tries to pitch the Giants clear of danger, but Bill Bradley's RBI single walks it off for Cleveland. That loss hands the Yankees a golden chance to save themselves. The Yankees put the tying run on for Ty Cobb, but he pops it up. Once it's caught, all 3 clubs, Athletics, Giants, Yankees, are headed for a round-robin tiebreaker. Lefty Gervais strikes out Edward Brockman to end the first game, putting the Giants 1 win away from saving themselves against the Yankees. Harry Howell ends that, shutting out the Giants on 6 hits, and now the Yankees could save themselves with a win in Philadelphia. But the Athletics get Simon Nichols to roll one over to second, closing a 6-4 wins. All 3 clubs finish the round robin at 1 win and 1 loss. After all that chaos, nothing separates the 3 clubs, each stuck at 65 and 77, all refusing to blink. As they say, if at first you don't succeed, the A's lead by 1, but the Giants put 2 on. Charles Bender gets Christy Mathewson to roll a grounder to short. It's handled cleanly and Philadelphia hangs on. Johnny Lush bats for the Yankees in the 10th inning and lines a walk-off single. The Giants are relegated and the Yankees will face the Athletics for survival. Yankees lead in the 8th inning and George Moriarty dumps a single into right field, scoring 2 more runs and propelling New York to safety. The marathon tiebreaker finally snaps, sending the Philadelphia Athletics and New York Giants down to the 2nd tier. The Athletics stay in the top flight as brief, and Jim Basquette's league-leading 8.7 pitcher WAR can't keep the Giants up for a 7th season. At the top, Tris Speaker powers the St. Louis Cardinals past Chicago and Cleveland to their 2nd National League crown in 5 years, a sharp rebound from last season's 7th place stumble. Walter Johnson drops a 12 WAR thunderbolt on the American League and propels the Atlanta Crackers into the National League, the first former minor league club to break through. Challenge number 1 just got real. 18-year-old Babe Ruth piles up 12 combined WAR, but even he can't pull the Browns out of the second tier yet. At the other end, the St. Paul Apostles lose 87 games and immediately fall back to Class A, resuming their tradition of collapsing the moment they get promoted. Atlanta isn't going alone. The Columbus Senators ride monster seasons from John Henry Lloyd and Doc Ayers to 91 wins, a Federal League pennant, and promotion of their own. They also become the first club to reach the top tier after having played in Class B, a stop they made way back in 1904. At the bottom, the Detroit Tigers endure a second straight relegation after an 85-loss stumble. They now drop into Class A for the first time since 1905, completing a stunning 2-year freefall. The Sioux City Indians take the Western League with 84 wins, earning their 4th promotion in 6 seasons and becoming the first former Class D club to break into the second tier. The Kansas City Cowboys finish a game back and head to the promotion round robin. Reb Russell dominates for a 3rd straight year, leading all pitchers in WAR again, but Davenport slumps to 6th. And at the bottom, the Denver Bears' 12-year stay in Class A collapses under 93 losses, sending them down to Class B. The Troy Trojans roll to 88 wins, earning their 2nd promotion in 3 seasons and setting up their first ever shot at the second tier in 1915. The Chicago White Sox finish just 3 games back, riding Jose Acosta's dominance to 85 wins and a spot in the promotion round robin. At the bottom, the Peoria Distillers crater to 85 losses, ending a 12-year stay in Class A and dropping into Class B for the first time. The Shreveport Pirates take the Southern Association at 80-60 after playing Class D ball in 1907, joining Sioux City as the only clubs to climb from that level to the second tier. Jacksonville finishes 2 games back in 2nd, powered by Louis Santop's bat, and books its spot in the promotion round robin. At the bottom, the Nashville Volunteers stay in Class A lasts just 1 season. 80 losses send them and Lefty O'Banion straight back to Class B. 3 games in 3 days at Comiskey Park in Chicago stand between us and the second tier. 4 second-place clubs enter and the top 2 climb. We open against the Chicago White Sox and their war machine, Jose Acosta, who led all of Class A with nearly 9 WAR. Then it's the Kansas City Cowboys, powered by Bill McKechnie's 6.5 WAR breakout. And we close with the Jacksonville Tarpons, boasting 3 of the league's scariest bats in Louis Santop, George Kelly, and Red Smith. These are heavyweights. It won't be easy, but it's time to swing our way through. Lefty Webb outduels Jose Acosta, allowing just 2 hits and finishes it by getting Lee Tannehill to roll a grounder to third. A brilliant shutout to open the round robin. Bases loaded, Dick Whitworth gets Pete Kilduff to sky one on the infield, but Billy Menges doesn't catch it. A gift-wrap disaster and the Whalers fall 6-3. Leadoff man is on for Rube Foster in the 9th, but he grounds into a tailor-made 4-6-3 double play. Our last hope is Miller Huggins, who hits a high fly ball to center field. It's caught by Jacksonville, and our Whalers' bid for promotion has failed. Congratulations to the Chicago White Sox and Jacksonville Tarpons, who earned promotion to the second tier for 1915. For us, it's a 4th year of Class A incoming. After stunning the White Sox on day 1, we had the path laid out and then blew it by dropping the softest matchup in the group. Jacksonville was always going to be a mountain with that lineup. Kansas City is the one that'll haunt us. If you've got advice on how to emotionally rebound from this, comments are still open. Relegation pressure grips the III League on the final day. Grand Forks must beat Indianapolis at home to stay alive, while Des Moines can clinch safety by taking down the Rock Island Islanders. 2 runners on for Grand Forks in extra innings. Oliver Welsh bloops a single into right field. The Flickertails walk off Indianapolis and force a win from Des Moines. Rock Island puts the tying runs on, but Dan Keller gets Ozzie Vitt to line out to center. The Boosters hang on and secure another year in Class B. Grand Forks' walk-off thrill wasn't enough. Their 6-year stay in Class B ends in relegation after a 77-loss season. Des Moines, Rockford, Springfield, and Topeka narrowly dodged the drop, At the top, the Rock Island Islanders and Decatur Commodores punch their tickets back to Class A. Harley Young and the Philadelphia Quaker Giants keep rocketing upward, winning 81 games and earning their third promotion in 4 seasons. The Marion Diggers finally break through with 78 wins to reach Class A for the first time. Harrisburg's brief run ends with 82 losses and a quick return to Class C. Relegation tension grips the Texas League as the Pine Bluff Lumbermen and San Antonio Broncos enter the final day tied at 60 and 79, and it all comes down to one game, head-to-head, to survive for another season in Class B. Down 1-0 in the ninth, San Antonio's last hope is Jack Slattery, who flies out to left. The Pine Bluff Lumbermen finish a combined shutout and secure their Class B spot. San Antonio's one-year detour in Class B ends with 80 losses and a quick drop back to C. Up top, the Greenville Cotton Pickers ride big years from George Stutz and Gene Packard to win the title, and the Macon Peaches secure back-to-back promotions with 75 wins. Toronto finally smashes through after 7 seasons in Class B, winning 85 games behind Jack Barry. Rochester follows with 77 wins to earn promotion. Newark's 3-year stay ends in misery as 84 losses send them to Class C for the first time. Strange vibes in the South Atlantic League's finale. Promotion and relegation are both on the line, and the contenders are matched directly against the clubs trying to avoid the drop. To complicate things further, Natchez and Baton Rouge are playing a doubleheader thanks to an earlier rainout. If either of them sweeps, the team they're chasing will suddenly have to win. Natchez clings to a 1-run lead with 2 aboard, but Grover Cleveland Alexander induces the grounder he needs to secure the win, but they need a second win. Gulfport Biloxi is already safe, but Brago Roth still unloads a homer to right to close the Sand Crabs finale with a win. Now Monroe can only wait and hope for promotion. Baton Rouge is already relegated, but still battling. High Myers lifts a fly to center for the final out. Natchez loses 4-2 and their promotion bid dies on the spot. Monroe finally claws its way into Class B after 8 seasons, riding Del Pratt's breakout campaign. Baton Rouge's 1-year stay in C ends after their doubleheader split. 2 Eastern Association clubs need to win to stay afloat. Concord heads to Nashua while Bridgeport hosts Norwich, who are trying to clinch promotion themselves. If the Reds slip, the Waterbury Spuds can win in Worcester to force a 1-game promotion playoff. 1 league, 2 races, and 4 desperate clubs. Nashua gets the tying run to second, but Rip Cannell watches strike 3. Del Paddock's shutout gives Concord the edge in the relegation fight. Tie game in the 8th when Spotswood Poles launches one to right center. The Norwich Reds seal promotion on the swing, and Bridgeport gets sent down in the fallout. Spotswood Poles carries the Norwich Reds to Class B almost single-handedly, finishing with an absurd 14-point-4 WAR and sealing promotion with his final day blast. Concord survives thanks to Del Paddock's shutout, while Waterbury is stranded 2 games short. Bridgeport's 2-year stay ends with relegation to Class D. Virginia League promotion goes to the wire. The Augusta Tourists sit at 78 wins, 1 behind the Charleston Seagulls, and need a victory over Montgomery plus a little help from Lancaster. If Charleston slips, Augusta can drag this race into a 1-game playoff. Walt Slagle tries to pitch Charleston out of a 9th-inning jam, but Robert Wells rips a walk-off single for Lancaster, cracking the door open for Augusta. The Tourists are down 5, and Tom Johnson's single brings in 2 more for Montgomery. That blow shuts the door. Augusta can't seize the opening they were handed. The Charleston Seagulls squeeze into Class B with 79 wins, powered by Bingo DeMoss's 9.9 WAR. Augusta, Norfolk, and Hattiesburg chase hard but fall just short. York wins the 2nd War of Roses, and Montgomery suffers its 2nd relegation in 4 years after 82 losses. 5 more champions climb to Class B: Evansville, Wilkes-Barre, Colorado Springs, the Chicago Giants, and Crookston. Dropping to Class D are Zanesville, Montreal, Orange, Danville, and Superior. Only Montreal had real tenure here, finally falling after 6 seasons. Drama in the Appalachian League as a 2nd-place ticket to the promotion round robin comes down to the final day. Paducah sits 1 game behind Knoxville, needing a win over Chattanooga and a Hopkinsville assist to force a 1-game playoff. Ovid Mullins steps in with the winning run on second and drives one over the left fielder's head. The run scores easily and Paducah forces Knoxville to answer. James Walworth gets Knoxville 1 out from the round robin. Brown lines out to second and the Reds lock up second place. The top 2 positions in the Cotton States League are unsettled. The Lafayette Browns enter with 79 wins and the Mobile Seagulls trail them by just 1 game. If Mobile can win and get help from Lake Charles, there'll be a 1-game playoff for automatic promotion. If not, they still get a shot in the round robin, just a much tougher road. The Browns cling to a 1-run lead in the 9th. Hetty Green induces a routine grounder to short, and Lafayette seals automatic promotion on the final day. Second place in qualification for the promotion round robin comes down to the final day in the Central Association, where the Kane Mountaineers sit 1 game behind the Olean Refiners, needing a win over Warren and a Sharon assist to force a 1-game playoff. Tie game in the 10th until ball player McKenzie uncorks a wild pitch. Charles Venable races home, Sharon walks it off, and now Olean can only hope Kane collapses. And collapse they do. Ball player Vaughn blasts a double for Warren to make it 14-0, and Kane's promotion hopes die in truly embarrassing fashion. Relegation tension grips the Western Association as the Oskaloosa Quakers and Ottumwa Packers enter the final day deadlocked at 57-82. It all comes down to 1 game, head-to-head, with a single season of Class D survival hanging in the balance. Benton Montgomery batting with Ottumwa up big. He sends a fly ball deep to right and off the wall. Another run will score and Oskaloosa gets relegated via blowout. A 3-team relegation scramble engulfs the Colonial League. Meriden sits bottom and must win in New Haven just to stay alive. If they pull it off, Northampton and Manchester will both need victories of their own to dodge a 2 or even 3-team tiebreaker pileup. Meriden has 2 on with 2 out. Thomas Welsh's 0-2 pitch is outside and the pickoff throw to first gets Walt Tragister for the final out. What a way to get relegated. 5 more clubs rise to Class C. Keokuk, Warren, All Cubans, New Haven, and Hannibal, the Cannibals earning back-to-back promotions. On the other end, Lake Charles, Oil City, Seward, and Sedalia fall to Class E. For Sedalia, it ends a decade in Class D. For Oil City, it's a brutal 2nd straight relegation. Indianapolis, Houston, Roanoke, and McKeesport climb to Class C, with Houston bouncing back instantly and Roanoke finally breaking a 9-year drought. Dropping to Class E are Traverse City, Oklahoma, Asheville, and Portsmouth, the resorters continuing their yo-yo existence between D and E. 9 days, 9 games, 10 second-place finishers battling in Akron for 2 promotion spots. After 8 games, it's chaos. 4 clubs still alive, nobody clinched. Mobile and Lawrence are in with a win. Knoxville and Olean can only force tiebreakers. Knoxville needs this one, and Frank Lobert delivers in the 4th, singling to left to plate 2 and make it 3-0. Those runs hold, giving Knoxville its 6th win. In the 7th, George Vandegrift crushes a 3-run shot to left, blowing the game open. Mobile locks down its 7th win and officially punches promotion to Class C. Olean loads the bases needing a win, but Fred Werrell rolls into a fielder's choice, the chance dies, and the Refiners remain in Class D another year. Lawrence sits on 6 wins, Perry Reneker grounds to second, the throw home is too late, and Akron walks it off, shoving Lawrence into a do-or-die tiebreaker. Lawrence has the bases loaded with 2 outs. Knoxville's Tommy Wright pitches to Yancey Davis, who pops it up. The Reds win and earn promotion to Class C. Congratulations to the Mobile Seagulls and Knoxville Reds on their promotions to Class C. For everyone else, thanks for playing, collect your soreness, and head home. 2 Class E leagues have concluded in a tie for first, so they'll be settled by 1-game tiebreakers. Temple takes on Sapulpa to settle the Central Texas League, and Boyne City faces Manistee for the Michigan State League crown. Boyne City loads the bases while trailing by 1. Frank Cooper grounds one towards center, but Manistee makes a diving stop, clinching promotion to Class D. Sapulpa leads by 3 and sits one out from promotion. Ball player Letowski gets Pat Duff to loft a fly to left, and the Oilers officially complete their climb to Class D. Congratulations to the Sapulpa Oilers and Manistee champs on their first ever promotions to Class D. Patterson, Columbus, Springfield, Middlesboro, Alexandria, and Grand Island all climb into Class D and become Roosevelt Cup participants next season. Morristown, Vincennes, Williamsport, Lynchburg, McLeansboro, and Burlington round out the promotions to Class D. As for the clubs that demanded direct entry into the Federal League, not one earned promotion. Turns out you actually have to win games first. The Tacoma Tigers make it 4 straight Pacific Coast League crowns, breezing to 90 wins behind Dizzy Dismukes, who collects his 3rd consecutive PCL Pitcher War title. At the other end, the Everett Smokestackers plummet from 2nd place to 87 losses, crashing into the Northwestern League for the first time after 8 seasons of top-flight stability. Northwestern League relegation comes down to the final day when either the Alameda Encinals or the Oakland Commuters will fall to the Class D California League. Alameda needs to beat the Santa Cruz Sand Crabs and for the Oakland Commuters to lose to their inner-city rival Oaks to force a 1-game playoff. Top of the 4th, E. Lancaster punches a changeup into center for a 2-run single, putting the Commuters up 4-0. Their win relegates the Alameda Encinals. Alameda's wild ride continues. After clawing their way from the Class D California League all the way to the PCL, they've now completed the full return trip with 81 losses. Meanwhile, after 3 seasons stalled in the Northwestern League, the Oakland Oaks punch their ticket back to the West Coast top flight with 81 wins, edging out the Stockton Millers. George Porterfield and the Vernon Tigers take the California League with an 84-56 season, earning their first ever promotion to the Northwestern League in year 6 of the franchise. The Cuban League title comes down to a head-to-head showdown. San Francisco enters the final day 1-up in Rojo, and Rojo's chasing its first ever crown. To pull it off, they'll need to beat San Francisco twice head-to-head, a tall order, but the kind of chaos this league specializes in. Rojo has the tying run on, but Midge Craven's fly to right hangs up and is hauled in. San Francisco closes it out and claims the Cuban League crown. San Francisco racks up 85 wins and edges Rojo to claim its 4th Cuban League title in 6 seasons. Irv Higginbotham leads the league in pitcher war for the 4th straight year, but Almendarez slips to 3rd. At the bottom, Carmelita's 91-loss faceplant sends them to the 2nd tier after a 1-season cameo in the top flight. Nuevo Criollo storms to 83 wins and climbs back into the Cuban top flight for the first time since 1906. With every league settled across all 3 pyramids, it's time to zoom out from the standings and take stock of the individuals who lit up 1914. Spotswood Poles of the Norwich Reds didn't just lead baseball, he lapped it. A ridiculous 14.4 batter war, 30 home runs, 355 total bases, and a .680 slugging percentage, 1154 OPS, 303 ISO, and a .515 WOBA. Absurd. Hurley McNair was once again the lone hitter to clear both a 400 average and a 500 on base, and Jules Thomas of the Amsterdam Gloversville Johnstown Jags piled up 226 hits, 115 RBI, and nearly 9 WPA, doing everything short of driving the team bus. On the mound, ball player Letowski of the Sapulpa Oilers topped all of baseball with 12.5 pitcher war, edging out Walter Johnson himself, who merely led the universe in strikeout-to-walk ratio and FIP. Alan Darlington of the Rome Romans casually devoured 625 innings, piling up 349 strikeouts and 47 quality starts like it was light cardio. And New London's own Stoney McGlynn used his 42-year-old witchcraft to deliver the sport's best ERA at 1.22.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
George McBride of the Peoria Distillers owned the infield this year, posting the best zone rating in all of baseball. Billy Orr turned the entire diamond into his personal cardio circuit for the Toronto Maple Leafs. leading the sport in putouts, total chances, and range factor. Alex Hawley set the standard behind the plate with a 1.83 catcher's ERA, and New London's own Hank Gowdy finished second in defensive efficiency, which is almost worthy of Wayne's World worship. The Roosevelt Cup swells to 248 clubs with only 8 precious first-round byes. The entire California League is granted admission due to its Class D status, while the Class E champions and Cuban second division winners are squeezed out entirely. There was talk of a rival cup until someone priced the train fares. For us, the season's already a failure. The Roosevelt Cup can't bring the New London Whalers any closer to promotion, but it is our chance to regain our belief for next season. We open against the Manchester Textiles, the New Hampshire club that we first crossed paths with in Class C back in 1905, then in Class B in 1908, when they earned their brief stay in Class A. Since then, they've been relegated 3 times, narrowly dodging a 4th drop into Class E this season. Vincent Ward and Jerome Robertson are their only real anchors. On paper, this is about as kind of a first-round draw as we could get, but we can't forget, 10 seasons ago, this same Class D Manchester club knocked out the mighty Brooklyn Superbas. No score in the 6th until Lou Litchie breaks the deadlock with an RBI single. The Whalers add 4 more and Dick Whitworth handles it from there. Up in the 4th, Thomas Miller unloads on a Cecil Wetzel pitch for a solo home run to center. The Whalers stay in control the rest of the way to advance. It was smooth sailing in both games, with Manchester offering little offensive threat outside a solo home run by Vincent Ward. Credit Dick Whitworth for pitching 8+ scorelit innings and Rube Foster for a complete game with just the solo home run allowed. Hank Perry led the run-scoring attack with 4 hits and 3 stolen bases, 3 runs, and 2 RBI. Round 2 brings us the Class B Portsmouth Truckers, 4th place finishers from the Central League and a club that's climbed steadily since joining the Pyramid in 1906. Carl Meister and Steve Yerkes both posted 7 WAR seasons, but Yerkes is out for the series, and their ace Roy Patterson is done for the year. That leaves Lowry Bryant, a solid 5 WAR arm carrying the entire staff. Portsmouth comes in wounded, undermanned, and taped together, but their pulse still makes them dangerous. Bases loaded for Portsmouth, but Dick Whitworth reaches back and blows a fastball past John Spanton to secure Game 1. Tied in the 7th, Rube Foster pokes a single to left, and Cozy Dolan races home for the go-ahead run, the one that sends New London through. 2 games, 2 2-7-2 box scores, and 2 wins, the purest expression of our identity. Score a little, allow even less. Whitworth and Foster carved through Portsmouth's lineup with barely a wobble, and Lou Litchie paced the bats with 4 hits across 2 tight pitchers' duels. Another round survived, another reminder that our margin for error is razor thin, but holding just well enough to make this run feel like it might actually lead somewhere. Our 3rd round opponent is the Franklin Millionaires of the Class C New York State League, a club that entered the Pyramid in 1907, climbed into Class C in 1912, and just wrapped up a respectable 5th place finish. Their team is built around Dutch Zwilling, a 7 WAR force and center that plays like a souped-up Hank Perry with a better glove. The rest of the roster doesn't really stack up, but they did knock out the New Bedford Imposter Whalers. My first reaction, thank you, Franklin. My second, if eliminating 2 Whalers in 1 week summons some sea monster for karmic balance, it's New Bedford's fault, not ours. Hank Gowdy lifts a deep fly to center, and Dutch Zwilling misjudges it completely. Miller Huggins trots home for a 6-1 lead, and the Whalers cruise from there. Rube Foster drives a single to right field. Billy Menges races around to score ahead of the throw, giving us a comfortable 5-0 lead. No Whalers hex, no cosmic backlash, just 2 clean professional wins to reach the 4th round, which, frankly, is just further proof that the New Bedford Whalers aren't cursed, they're just bad. Their continued insistence on using our name is dragging down our brand. Anyway, Rube Foster fired another complete game gem, Hank Gowdy led the offense with 4 hits and 2 steals, and the bullpen stepped up after Dick Whitworth left early with rotator cuff tendonitis. Unfortunately, he's gonna miss the rest of the Roosevelt Cup. And here it is, revenge, neatly wrapped, tournament sanctioned, and delivered straight to our doorstep. The Chicago White Sox, the same club that snatched our promotion dreams at Comiskey Park, now stand between us and the Roosevelt Cup's final 32. Jose Acosta is still the arm that carved up everyone in Class A, except Lefty Webb, but this isn't about standings or tiebreakers or climbing rungs up the pyramid. This is about payback, the baseball gods handing us another crack at the club that stole our hard-earned dinner. If they want to ruin our season twice in the same season, they're going to have to beat us straight up. This time, Lefty Webb gets the better of Jose Acosta with an RBI triple, scoring Thomas Miller to break the 6th inning deadlock and carrying New London to victory. The Whalers scrape out a run in the 11th inning, and Warren Barenkamp gets Nixie Callahan on a routine fly ball to complete the sweep. No Dick Whitworth? No problem. After the playoff heartbreak just a few weeks ago, that felt really good. We finally get a measure of revenge on the White Sox, piling up 27 hits and sweeping them straight out of the Roosevelt Cup. Cozy Dolan helped us to the 5th round with 4 hits, 3 walks, 2 stolen bases, and the series-winning RBI. And yes, I'd trade this whole thing for promotion in a heartbeat, but the universe didn't ask me. We're here, we're rolling, and now it's off to the round of 16. Our next hurdle is the Utica Utes, who've steadily climbed the pyramid into the 2nd tier, advanced to the semifinals of last season's Cup, and finished 3rd in the Federal League. Their engine is 25-year-old center fielder Tilly Schaefer, a fan favorite who went for 59 stolen bases, 19 triples, and 7 WAR. Jim Thorpe plays about every sport known to man, and Casey Stengel roams their outfield. And then there's Doc Crandall, a legitimate two-way threat with 6 WAR as a pitcher and 2 at first base. This will not be easy, but we're deep in the bracket now. Nothing should be. Hank Gowdy steps in and unloads a towering drive to center that bounces off the wall, bringing home 2 and stretching the lead to 3-0. New London takes game 1. Billy Menges comes up as the winning run and ropes a single to center, but Walt Govin is thrown out stretching for 3rd. Utica survives and we're off to game 3. Utica clings to a 1-run lead in the 7th when Casey Stengel hammers a Lefty Webb pitch into the right center gap, stretching it to 4-1. We rally in the 9th and bring up pinch hitter Charles Fuller with 2 aboard, but his soft pop to second seals our exit from the Roosevelt Cup. A tough end to a terrific run. We took game 1 behind the vintage Stoney McGlynn performance, but Utica answered with 2 straight tight wins to knock us out. Billy Menges did everything he could with 6 hits in the series, but Pat Donahue matched him swing for swing on the other side. The margins were razor thin. Clean defense, no errors, plenty of chances, but the Utes made just a couple more big swings. 36-year-old Hugh McCallum is calling it a career after 11 seasons. Acquired in 1908 for Joe Delahanty, he gave us 6 seasons of leadership and blue-collar utility work, the kind of player who never grabbed a headline but always filled a hole when we needed one. And 37-year-old Walter Patterson is also stepping away after a 12-year ride. He gave us 9 WAR after arriving in 1905 for Chappie Johnson, including a monster 6 WAR campaign in 1906 that helped the club reach Class B. But his role has diminished since the 1909 season, and it's time to step away. Drop your retirement wishes for Hugh McCallum and Walter Patterson in the comments. 2 understated Whalers who helped build the ladder we're still climbing. It's also time to cut ties with our manager, Chappie Snodgrass. Not for our inability to earn promotion into the 2nd tier or our losses in the Roosevelt Cup, but he's demanding control of pitching coach and bench coach hires. That's a bridge too far for me. So thank you, Mr. Snodgrass, for your service to the New London Whalers, and best of luck in all your future endeavors. 8 clubs remain, and every quarterfinal brings its own storyline. The St. Louis Cardinals return and travel to the Pacific Coast to face the Double-A Seattle Giants, looking to join the Chicago Cubs as the only clubs to win the National League and Roosevelt Cup in the same season. The Utica Utes are also back. This time they'll travel to Toledo and challenge the Mud Hens, who are the last remaining Class A club in the field. Longtime rival Pittsburgh Pirates and Chicago Cubs were off the pace in the NL this season. They've picked it up for cup runs. Finally, the St. Louis Browns return to the quarterfinals, but this time they've brought Babe Ruth with them to Columbus to challenge the Senators. Wade Conroy tries to play hero for Toledo, slapping a single through the right side. Cliff Blankenship races home, beats the throw, and the Mud Hens punch their ticket to the semis. Cristobal Torriente powers the Toledo Mud Hens into their first ever semifinals, where a far steeper climb awaits Tris Speaker and the St. Louis Cardinals, fresh off a clinical sweep of the Seattle Giants. Babe Ruth comes up as the go-ahead run, but rolls a routine grounder to short. It's handled cleanly and the Columbus Senators punch their ticket onward. I knew that Babe Ruth kid was overrated. The Columbus Senators earn a semifinal rematch with Chicago. Pittsburgh stole Game 1 in extras, and then the Cubs woke up and dropped 20 runs over the next two to bulldoze their way through. Now 4 clubs remain. Toledo keeps gathering steam and now has to march straight into the teeth of the National League champion St. Louis Cardinals. On the other side, Columbus looks every bit like a club ready to kick down the National League's front door, only to find the Chicago Cubs waiting for them again. This time, though, Columbus gets home field. The stakes couldn't be higher. Somebody's Cup dream is about to get shattered. Bill McTighe has the Mud Hens one out from the finals. Sam Crawford rips one to the right side, but it's hauled in. Toledo takes down the Cardinals. Joe Tinker stands in as the tying run, but he skies an infield pop-up. The Columbus Senators get their long-awaited revenge on the defending Cup champions. Both series finish in 3, both National League Giants get dumped overboard, and both winners hail from Ohio, which just hijacked the Roosevelt Cup and sped off screaming down the turnpike. Ohio, your teams are running the show. Sound off in the comments like your state just declared baseball independence. It's Toledo versus Columbus, an all-Buckeye custody battle where only one team gets the trophy for the mantle. Toledo rides Cristobal Torriente fresh off a divine 10-war campaign, with Dave Davenport anchoring their rotation. For Columbus, John Henry Lloyd just posted an 11-war masterpiece. Doc Ayers matched him with 10 war, while Terry Turner added 6 war to push his career total 86. 2 Ohio clubs, 2 MVP-level cores, and just 1 trophy. The Buckeye State is guaranteed a champion. The question is, which city gets to rub it in forever? Toledo didn't so much advance as survive everything thrown at them. The Mud Hens clawed past New Orleans, Syracuse, Charleston, and Rochester, 4 straight 3-game brawls, before finally getting a breather against Utica. Their reward? A semifinal trip to St. Louis, where they dumped the National League champion Cardinals out of the tournament in 3. Columbus, meanwhile, took the smoother road at first round bye, clean sweep of San Francisco, and a tidy 2-game dismissal of Evansville all made the Senators look like a machine. But the middle round stiffened fast. Boston pushed them to 3 games, the Philadelphia Athletics made them sweat, and then came the showdown with the league's final boss, the Chicago Cubs. Columbus held firm, took 2 of 3, and sent the dynasty packing. Now both Ohio clubs meet at the summit. Marito Acosta steps in and slaps a single to right off Fred Wilkinson. Elmer Johnson races home, and the Toledo Mud Hens steal Game 1 in walk-off fashion. Heine Berger has Columbus sniffing a sweep, but Toledo punches back in the 9th. Gary Wilson ropes a tie-breaking single to center, forcing a decisive Game 3. Frank Metz strolls up with Toledo already rolling and detonates a Bill Burns pitch over the right field wall, stretching the lead to a ridiculous 13-1. Columbus does not regrettably carry a 12-run inning in reserve. Terry Turner's flyout to center seals it. The Toledo Mud Hens are your 1914 Roosevelt Cup champions. The first 2 games felt like they were winding towards some grand cinematic finish. Then the Mud Hens offense erupted in the middle innings and turned Game 3 into slapstick. Frank Metz went full comic book hero, 4 hits, 4 RBI, 3 runs, a walk, and that punctuation mark homer. Columbus comes up short here, but they're marching to the National League next season. They look every bit like a club ready to start shaking the foundations of challenge number 1. Raise a glass, or 10, to the Toledo Mud Hens, your 1914 Roosevelt Cup champions. They become only the 2nd club ever to lift the trophy after beginning life as a 1903 minor league outfit, an accomplishment so challenging it basically qualifies as civic miracle. The Mud Hens didn't just win the cup, they planted their flag on top of the pyramid and yelled back down at history. And salute to the St. Louis Cardinals, once again kings of the National League. They claim their 2nd crown in 5 seasons, and the 4th since their 1875 debut, a run of supremacy so steady it's starting to feel geological. The Cubs may own the record book, but St. Louis keeps carving its name into the cover. Out west, the Tacoma Tigers tighten their iron grip on the Pacific Coast League, roaring to a 4th straight title and redecorating the record books. And in Cuba, San Francisco storms back to reclaim the crown they surrendered 3 years ago, planting their flag atop the island once more and signaling the start of another potential Cuban empire. 2 pyramids, 2 powerhouses, and no signs of either slowing down. For the New London Whalers, it's another year ending with that unmistakable sting. We fought tooth and nail to reach the round robin, only to have the door slam shut one step from promotion. Dick Whitworth was the rotation upgrade we dreamed of, but upgrades don't matter much when we're stuck watching everyone else celebrate. And now 2 of our own league rivals are crashing the National League's gates, tightening the vice around challenge number 1. But 1915 gives us one more shot to rewrite our fate, though that's a story for the next video. And that closes the book on 1914. If you enjoyed another gut-wrenching failure, hit that like, hype, and subscribe button. 1915's just around the corner to disappoint us.